Action.
Action? Cut? No, we're going racing. That's what we're doing on a Thursday night. Welcome to Tim's Corner Motorsports and Vidane TV on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, anywhere you want to watch it tonight. It's all part of the Oxford 500 week, and tonight it's the DC Auto ARCA National 150 here at the legendary Oxford Plains Raceway. How's it going, everyone? It's Dylan Langille from Riverside International Speedway, back in the announcer booth with two of my good buddies up here, my good new friend Dave Menifee and Mike James from Eastbound Park. Mike, Dave, how are we tonight?
Oh, dude, I'm cranked. You know, DC Auto's in the house, Newfoundland company out of Fort McMurray as well. Sent over a case of beer and some pizza. Compliments of our friend Atlas Pizza down in Torbay. So big night here tonight here for the Rock. We got 5 Newfoundlanders vying for the big race here for the ARCA National 150 presented by DC Auto. So Oxford Plains, we've seen it a couple of times. We've had some big winners. Craig McDonald took the win on Monday night, non-broadcast win, and Nicholas Codner from Torbay took it there last week for the eastbound race. Dave, how are you tonight, buddy?
Doing well. Just looking forward to some racing here at Oxford Plains. My first trip here. So this should be interesting. 150 laps. Track looks pretty interesting. I've been watching some of the qualifying, and the configuration of the track a little different than what I'm used to here in just outside of Winchester, Virginia. But looking forward to some good short track racing here at Oxford Plains.
So did you get the wake-up call? It is 4:30 in the morning in Oxford, Dave. So Dylan, did you have your coffee yet?
I had a coffee. I had a beer to kind of wake me up and trying to cool down because it's hot here in Oxford and hot in Nova Scotia. And I'm excited for the hot action on track. It feels like it's been forever since I've announced an iRace. I think the last race I did was either the Pro Stock race or that fun IWK fundraiser. So it's been a cup of coffee since I've been here. Looking forward to calling some e-racing action. A lot of Nova Scotians are feeling pretty fired up today, boys. We learned that we can gather with more people and we can hug people again. So we're feeling good here, at least on the mainland here in Nova Scotia. And we got a couple of Nova Scotia drivers, a couple Islanders, a couple New Brunswickers, and a couple of Newfoundlanders, and I believe a few Americans also sprinkled out through this
Yeah, we got a full stack here, and it's going to be, I believe, close to 40 drivers have now come into. Right now, what we're seeing is some qualifying here. We got about a minute left here, Dave. We're going to take the top 6 for the big show. 22 will qualify. We're going to see 3 heats and 1 LCQ, some last chance romance. So a couple of big dogs that are going to be in here. 3 winners here at Oxford over the last while. Ethan Miller was our first winner on the Oxford TCM special events in the Legends race early in the year. Like I said earlier, Craig McDonald taking the win on Monday, and Nicholas Codner last Thursday took one for the eastbound race. So a couple of drivers have some experience under their belt here in Oxford, but like you've seen in the last, there's a lot of stout drivers in Atlantic Canada in this iRacing series.
We got a big field too. I'm looking at some of the qualifying here, and we're already showing 34 cars on the tracker here. So you talked about taking the top 6. And then the rest of these guys are going to kind of have to fight for their lives to fill out the field, because it looks like, based on the car count, we're going to send a few of them home tonight.
Yeah,
that's going to make it fun, Dave, for sure. I mean, you're going to send a few cars home. That last chance qualifier is going to be a tight one. And running race control tonight, Tim Terry, along with our good buddy Brian Nagy as well. I think Tony Stevens also helping out too, but they'll let us know how many cars are transferring in that last chance qualifier, and that will be a 25 lapper. 12 laps of the heat races, and we're going to roll off, and we can see one of our previous winners here at Oxford there, Mike.
Yeah, Ethan Miller will be on the outside in position number 2, but Brandon Campbell will get the first heat race pole setter here. In row number 2, Roger Down will be in position number 3 with Scott Drouse on the outside. And then in row number 3, Ryan Walsh of CBS from Newfoundland. He is on the inside of row 3. Tanton Woolridge on the outside. And then in row number 4, Kevin Cormier in the 52 car. Dave Horton will be on the outside, and then completing the field, Tony Wright and Noah Healy, another Newfoundlander, on the back in the 84 car.
We got some nice looking cars here, guys. And you may have noticed as well, these are the ARCA National Gen 4 NASCAR style race cars. One thing that we all know with Oxford, it's a rough racetrack. It's going to chew up the tires, and the setup tonight, it's a fixed setup, and it's set on the looser side. Only 1 extra set of tires in the 150 lapper. That means you're going to have to really conserve your drive into the corners and how aggressive you are at the start, because if you wear all your tires right away, you're going to be racing ball the entire time at the back part. Green flag is out, Dave. Lap 1 starts up here for some heat racing.
And then Campbell jumps down into the lead, going down into turn 1, gets the jump. Ahead of Ethan Miller and Roger Down. Looks like they're coming out turn 4 here. Going to take the first lap of 12. And Brandon Campbell still out front.
And I believe we're going to take the top 3. I think we need to get confirmation now that we got the final
top 3.
number. So top 3, Tanton Woolridge sitting on the outside in the 0-0 car. But we got a car off pace here now heading down pit road. That is the 19 of Ryan Walsh off the pace. Not sure what has happened for the 19, but if he doesn't get a straight out here, he may be looking for an LCQ to try to get into the main event.
Yeah, he's already gone a lap down. It's going to be tough for him to at least try and get back up here. But you never know. There could be a caution in this heat race. We have Campbell and Miller out in front with Down in second, and that's 21, and that is the transfer spot. Down's got some pressure now from the 0-0. That's Tanton Woolridge from Prince Edward Island. Tanton got some rookie stripes in that 0-0. He does drive a Bandolero car on the island at Oysterbed Speedway, and he's about a car length and a bit. He closes in really in the turns, and now he's starting to peak that nose, Dave, underneath almost halfway through. 21 shuts the door, and you can see here at Oxford that the back straightaway and the front stretch are not very long. You're almost going from turn to turn.
That's the transfer spot right there for the 0-0 car. He's got to get around Roger Down. He's got to do it in about 6 laps. He took a peek to the inside a couple times there. Trying to maybe hope the 21 car would slip up just a little bit. But he's holding his line down on the bottom. As long as he's down on the bottom, I think they'll make it really, really difficult for Tanton to take that 3rd spot.
And of course, this is what Brandon Campbell and Ethan Miller are all excited about up front, because that real big battle right now is for that position number 3 for the transfer into the DC Auto 150. So all that pressure right now is on Roger Down, as he manages now to start to squeeze away from Tanton Woolridge just quite a little bit there now. But that is where the pressure is with 4 laps to go. Dylan, I think he got it.
Brandon Campbell's got a sizable lead now in front of Miller. So these top two, like we've said, they're pretty much set in stone unless there is a late race caution. And you can see also Roger Down is starting to get away from Tanton. You can see the score ticker, our good buddy Paul Showtime Strickland in the production booth. He'll join us on some of the replays here. He's helping control that as well. So you can see who's kind of further back on through the field. And looks like Kramer as well will have to try and fight their way through to get back up here. Cormier, pardon me.
You talked earlier about we have the heat races, that we have the last chance qualifier, and I believe we talked earlier before racing started that last chance qualifier was a 25-lap race. Now you think about it, if you've only got 8 tires, you've already got to start working with your tires because you're going to put 12 laps on it now. You definitely want to try to make it in the top 2, and if you don't, you've got 25 more laps you got to put on these tires before you get into the features. So these guys really need to start pacing their tires right now. You see Brandon Campbell going to take the checkered flag over Ethan Miller. Roger Down held on for 3rd.
And that will be the top 3 that will go into the main event. So the rest of the field will go into the last chance for romance 25-lap heat after we finish the next 2. But boys, the main event, only 8 tires. So like I said, these guys got to be very careful with the tires. We've seen some wild position on pit road over the last couple of races. So it's only 8 tires tonight. And look at that. The DC Auto car is going to be on the pole here, the 41, Jason Goss. And he's going to have Craig Tully. Dylan?
Love that look on Craig's machine. Starting 3rd, old Tony Stewart throwback in the Busch Series, Evan Osborne. The complete black car starting 4th in heat race number 2. Stevie Lively, a Barber also on the side. I noticed that his barbershop, the G spot, opened up again. 024 is Derek Gates. The 44 next to Derek. That is the driver, Doug Hugh. Looking back now further in this heat race, I can see Tony Stevens is there alongside David Cassidy in the number 13, and that is Pit Road TV's Tony Stevens, also announcer on the Cars Tour, and Tony's been back at work lately. Travis Roma in the 38, and last but not least, but kind of trailing back, not Jeff Gordon, but man, that's a sweet-looking car. Jay Goodwin at the back of the field here. So a stout field. We've got some top runners here in this field, and you can see Goss in the DC Auto 41s next to Tully in the 5. Man, I love the look of some of these ARCA cars and the old schemes they bring back. And some can just be as basic as just all black. Hey, whatever makes you, whatever floats.
Yeah, we're so used to seeing the super late. So this is also adjustment for the drivers as well. You know, they do happen to go into the ARCA now and then, but mostly we're super lates. And the lights are off that pace truck, Dave. So we're going to go green flag here. Jason Goss has the hammer, Craig Tully. But look at those 4 on the back. Dave Cassidy, Tony Stevens, Travis Roma, and Jake Goodwin. All top drivers at the back of the field. So this should be an interesting heat. 15 laps on the board, Dave. Here we go.
Flag is out. Jason Goss, what a jump going into turn 1. And that's what he needs to do. Like I said, we talked about tires earlier tonight. If you can get that jump, maybe just kind of pad your lead just a little bit. Take it easy on your tires while you're up front. That's what you got to do, because like you mentioned, 8 tires for the night, and on a track that eats up tires like Oxford Plains, you got to really be careful. And that's from the get-go, not necessarily in a feature, but in the heat races or the last chance qualifier as well.
And the thing that's going to chew the tires up too is how loose these cars are. You saw the 8 of Evan Osborne getting very squirrely at a turn number 2. Sliding around like that is just going to cheese grade the tires on this very rough surface. And it's going to be interesting. It's going to be certainly a race of attrition. That turn's thrown out a few times. Survival of the fittest. Who can be patient and conserve. And look at that morning sun rising. It's gleaming out of the turns, but getting in the eyes of the competitors. And with iRacing, it's simulating a lot. You can see the shadows from the view of Evan Osborne, and that's going to simulate the sun just glaring right in your eyes too, Mike.
Yeah, I was just about to say that, you know, this is early morning, so by the time we get into the main event, you know, that sun's going to rise up, and that track condition, what they're experiencing right now, just like in the simulator in real life, that track is going to slightly change. So during the practice earlier on, the cars were really loose. I know the simulator started at 4:30 a.m., so when they were in earlier, the sun wasn't totally up, so the track was quite cold. But now we're seeing throughout the heat races and into the main, quite a significant change will happen on that track.
having a hard time getting getting a grip on the fact that you guys are running at 4:30 in the morning. I'm sitting here at 8:30 at night here in Virginia. You guys are running at 4:30. You keep talking about 4:30 in the morning, and I'm like, I'm already almost halfway to work by then. So
we're in China right now.
You can see David Cassidy, he's up and at him early in this heat race because he's already climbed from the back, and now he is giving a lot of pressure to Craig Tully in that number 5. And again, that's the transfer spot. Only the top 3 are moving on directly to the DC Auto 150 lapper coming up with 3 laps to go. And look at that. I mean, you can throw a blanket over the top 4. They're all close together. And in fact, even 5th place isn't that far behind Stevie Lively. I mean, he's starting to close in on the leaders too. We've got a train of cars in backstretch, Mike.
Yeah, not a lot of two-wide racing. We're seeing single file freight train Jason Goss leading the way from the DC Auto team. But we talked about Dave Cassidy. He was at the back of the field, and he came up through that minefield. He was with Jake Goodwin and Travis Roma, but unfortunately for the boys, they are in 7th and 8th. And Dave Cassidy is on the outside looking for that transfer spot. So keep an eye on that 13 as he gets up on top of that bumper of Craig Tully's number 5. Little Kellogg's cornflake action going on right now with Cassidy and Tully.
Captain Morgan mixed up with Kellogg's. I don't know. They're slamming into each other. There's a big bumper from Cassidy. Oh, can Tully hang on? He can. He gets turned around in the front stretch. Now, will there be a black flag thrown along with a checkered flag, gents? I wonder, because David gave him a whole lot of bumper in turn 3 and 4. And Jason Goss and Evan Osborne, they're for sure moving on. But I'm not going to. Well, you know, I can't say I'm going to bet because I'm not sure. We've seen racers get disqualified in the features, but what about a heat race?
I don't know, but as soon as you said Cap Morgan and cornflakes, it really stirred up. And there it is. Stephen Lively now will get the call. And that will not be good for David Cassidy as that move has put him with a black flag to the back of the pack. Stephen Lively moving on with Jason Goss and Evan Osborne. Dave, a little bit of a foreshadowing, shall I say, what we'll see in the LCQ?
I think with that situation there, if you watched it, if he'd have turned that 5 car loose, if he'd have just let him go, let him try to gather it up, but it looked to me that he just kept his foot in it and kept his both on the rear end of that Kellogg's car and turned him on around. I think if he would have just maybe turned him loose just for a second and maybe tried to go on under it, he may not have received the black flag that he did. But last chance qualifier coming up for the 13 car and the 25 or the 5 car, he moves on.
Dylan, we got Rational Richard Drake on the pole with the Laker News on the hood. The 141 car is on the pole with Wade Craswell.
Yeah, a couple MGD cars. Wade Craswell, Todd Cousins in the number 2. Dale Jarrett's scheme on Caden Tuff's number 88. Jimmy Johnson's scheme on Mark Williams, number 42. In the 65, a Timmy's car of Colin Matthews, 65. Martin Landry in the 71, old Mark Martin paint scheme. There's Magic Mike Alexander. Haven't seen him race too much lately in the 75. And Daniel Vitch. Nope. Vitch. Yeah, Vitch.
Like Vitch.
Yeah. In the 911 car. Green flag is out here at Oxford again. Heat race number 3. We've already got one of the end cars spun out on the front stretch.
Not a double-double.
No, that's the 67 at Craswell turned around. You know that beer's going to be spraying everywhere.
Wasn't the 67 car on the outside front row? Something must have happened on the start.
Yeah, he's got a lot of damage, Dave. Look at the rear end on that 67. It's crushed in like an MGD beer can.
Joey was looking for a caution, too, because at this point, with no caution, there's pretty much no way without a caution now, at this point, that he's going to be able to make up the ground to be able to get up in that top 3.
And for those that are new to the TCM, Vince, during the heat race, if there's just one car involved with the caution, this is the producers generally let it go so we can get through these heat races. So that will Wade Craswell will have another shot at it as he's in the 8th position. But Daniel Vitch is on pit road, so not sure what happened with the 911 car. But Vitch on pit road right now.
And there is the caution now. So there's the 911 car, Vitch, and that, I think, would throw the 67 back on the lead lap. He was close. If he wasn't lapped already, I mean, that's going to now bunch him up. So either way, Craswell's going to benefit from that caution. Oh, it looks like Williams. Oh, Williams got some air. Paul Showtime Strickland. We haven't heard from you yet. Let's bring it in here.
Just loading up the AWS Roofing Instant Replay here, and we're going to take a look. We're going to focus in on the 42 car as soon as we get the right buttons pushed. There we go. And we'll switch this over to the blimp view so you can see it, and we'll give it to you in real time. A little bit of a bump there from the 88, who gets a bump from Mike Alexander to 75. Little Air Williams there in the 42 hits that dirt pile, holding up that light. Doesn't look like it was too hard of a hit, so not much damage on there. And you can see he was able to grab a gear and get on down the road. So good news there. And just looking with the lucky dog or the wave around, as it were, looks like we're gonna have 8 cars back on the lead lap. That 911 car still parked on pit road of Daniel Vitch, 6 laps down right now currently. I'm not really sure what happened there, but 8 cars on the lead lap, about halfway through this. Third heat race. Second heat race? Third heat race.
Fourth heat race.
Fourth heat
You're
race.
on the Diablo by. Get off the Diablo.
Never getting off the Diablo.
You gotta put that in your cupboard for 6 years.
Let's saute.
Everybody at home, what are they talking about? We're talking about cheap wine. Casilla, Newfoundlanders can't speak French so or Spanish or whatever the heck this is, but I'll try. Casilla del Diablo.
You have a French colony like right next, Saint Pierre Miquelon.
Yeah, but that's where we bootleg booze.
Oh, true.
We're
True,
not allowed
true.
there no more.
So we are under caution if you're just joining us. This is the DC Auto Arca National 150 at the Oxford Plains Raceway. It's Oxford 500 week. There was a non-broadcast race a couple nights ago. Craig McDonald got the win there. They're racing super late models. And tomorrow night, 250 laps around this track in the super late model. Man, that's going to be a fun Friday night. And it's going to be here live on Vidane TV and Tim's Corner Motorsports tonight. 150 laps in the Arca cars, and that the pace lights are off that pace truck. And we're going to start off again about 3 laps to go once we cross the start-finish line. 141, Richard Drake and Todd Cousins at the front, and Magic Mike Alexander working his magic. He's already up to second now.
Well, Mike Alexander was all the way to the tail, but peekaboo, here I am, second place now. Putting lots of pressure on that 141 of Richard Drake. Rational Richard now trying to hold off the legendary 75. Mike Alexander, but the one to watch now is Todd Cousins. This is your final heat race before we go to the last chance romance race. Colin Matthews is 65. I believe that's the double Tim Hortons. He's too wide right now. Dave, he's trying to get into this race here and enter the top 3.
It's going to be difficult because he's about 4 cars out. They got about a half a lap to go. So it looks like your top 3 that are sitting there now, Drake, Alexander, and Cousins, are going to be your top 3 that are going to transfer into the main.
Yeah, I got a
We
little
got a little
tangled
wreck
there.
after 2.
Mark Williams and Martin Landry pushed Colin Matthews way out there, but Matthews was on for the hunt, but that's not going to happen. It's going to be Richard Drake. Mike Alexander and Todd Cousins going to make it. We are now getting set, boys, for a little last chance romance. LCQ 25 laps, and what we have seen in the past is a battle royal.
Little hooligan racing, eh?
Hooligan.
Yeah.
This is actually one of my favorite races of the night because I'm not sure. I think if we can get Paul or Tim to let us know how many racers will be taken. But I know in the past when we only took one, it just was just all on. And, you know, if you're in third or fourth, you're just pushing to try to get to the front.
For my calculations, we already have 15 in the show. We're starting 22. So
Be 7 if you're going to go. We're going to be 7.
we're
if we're
going
going
to
to
we're taking about
in
7
here, Paul.
cars.
Yeah, as the night goes on, we usually change up how many we're taking from each race, depending on who comes in, who leaves. We'll check with race director Tim Terry, seeing how many.
Speaking of coming in, here's Tim Terry. He's jumped in the booth quickly. Tim, how many cars are moving on to the big show?
There are 2 25-lap B-mains, or last chance qualifiers, or whatever you want to call them here tonight. We anticipated there to be less cars. More cars is always a good thing. So we extended, instead of 20 laps, they are both 25 laps, and the top 3 are going to move on. So manageable numbers, essentially the same thing as the heat, only we're going to double the length.
Well, there we go. We got 2 Super Bowls coming at you, and it's going to be Ted Woolridge on the front row with Martin Landry in the 71. And pace trucks going off. Travis Roma, Dave Horton, Colin Matthews, Craig Tully, Noah Healy, Wade Craswell, David Cassidy, and Ryan Walsh in this one. But look at that, the 0-0. Tenton Woolridge way out front with a great start.
Shot out of a cannon and right off the start, and we can see a few cars struggling to get on the track, and you're trying to figure out where they can get position. You can see the 73 is crooked on the top of the turn, so that's not good for the 73 car. That is Dave Horton, but now he falls back in line in front of David Cassidy. But again, only the top three are moving on tonight to the DC Auto ARCA National 150. 2 hooligan races, boys. We love it, Dave.
Yeah, these are the most, like you said, these are some of the most exciting races of the night, these last chance qualifiers. And you got a big field of cars here. You got, well, I say big field, but you got
we got a spinner. We got Landry turned around, and that's going to bring out the caution. And it looks like he's stuck with the number 38 of Travis Roma.
What in the world?
Looking bumpers in the
it's
middle
romance.
of the turn.
it almost doesn't look like it's over yet. It looks like the guy in the yellow car is a little upset.
It's a little date night, you know. A couple bottles of
He left him alone.
Diablo.
I'm sure he waved at him with all of his fingers as he was slowly driving by there, but we'll back this up here, take a look at it from the blimp view here on the AWS Roofing Instant Replay. And we're going to focus in the 71 and the 38, and we'll give it to you in real time here. A little bit curious as to see how these drivers got linked together like that. You see the 71 loses the back end of the car. 38 gets a shot from the 65, who gets a shot from the 5. So really nowhere for those guys to go. And it looks like 71 kind of drives over the front fender of the 38 car. They kind of get hooked up for a little bit, but able to drive away, grab a gear. Doesn't look like the damage is too bad. So nice slow, low impact hit there. Don't think it's going to affect these guys too much. So you may very well see them pull down pit road to kind of bang out some of that virtual sheet metal, but all 10 drivers still on the lead lap at this point.
Well, boys, you know what? This is also set up right now. This is also set up nose to tail. Little cornflakes and Captain Morgan action. Craig Tully is going to be on the outside of row number 2 with David Cassidy on the outside of row number 3. So that beautiful, spicy Captain Morgan cornflake action is going to go toe-to-toe right now.
Because nothing says I'm starting a warm weekend with my cornflakes and Captain Morgan.
Now, if we had a Coca-Cola car in there, this would be really interesting. Because Coca-Cola, a little bit of Captain Morgan, some cornflakes. We got yourself breakfast of champions.
Well, we could also mix the Captain Morgan with some Tim Hortons coffee. Make it a little Irish coffee. Lap 8 here at Oxford, and the green flag is back out. Travis Roma is able to hold his position up in front, and he's underneath the number 66 of Matthews as we start to kind of file through here, and cars are trying to get all over the track, and where, again, they can line up. That's the thing. The outside lane, boys, is not working. Once they get kind of shoved out there, they're desperate to get back on the main line.
Yeah, it looks really loose out there, Dave, and I'm sure you're thinking, I don't know what kind of breakfast you Canadians have been eating, but a little bit of a wild night here for the DC Auto. Dave, what are you thinking on that outside line? Do you think we're going to see some two-wide racing once we get to the main, once the track starts changing?
I think you will. I'm pretty sure it'll probably be towards the end of the race. I think the beginning of the race, these guys are going to want to settle in, get in a single file, 150 laps. You're limited on your tires, and you've already run, some of these guys have already run 10, 20, 25 laps or so on these tires. So I suspect the first 3/4 of it, you're going to see a lot of single file racing. Everybody just kind of settling in and waiting for the last 25 or 30 laps. And looking at this track, it doesn't take long to get around, about 15.5 seconds to get around. So to run 150 laps, it's not going to take very long. But I suspect you'll see these guys really playing conservative at the beginning of the race anyway.
Craig Tully's in that final transfer spot to move on to the 150 lapper. He's got a lot of company in the back with David Cassidy. And there's the coffee and rum mix because Cassidy makes the big move on the inside and now slides in 4th. Also, Ryan Walsh now in 5th. He was a driver who had some problems in that first heat race. He was off the pace right away. Now he's pacing up to the top 3.
And look at that, the 19 from Conception Bay, South Newfoundland, wants a little double Captain Morgan cornflake action as Ryan Walsh got 3 spots to make up to get into that transfer position. 10 laps to go, boys. I got a feeling it's going to get, the pot's going to get stirred.
think we need to take a look at that 13 car who started kind of in the back in this race. He did it in his 12-lap heat race earlier. He started in the back and worked his way to the front, and then had a little bit of played a little bumper tag with the car that happens to be in front of him right now. And now he's back up to 4th place, except this time he's got about 9 laps before he has to pass him. So maybe he doesn't have to put as much pressure on him this time and turn him. 2 back flags in one night just means it's not your night. So he'll probably play a little conservative at the end of this race.
We actually may have a little battle up in front, too, with Tanton Woolridge in front of Travis Roma. I saw Travis kind of sneaking his nose under just a little bit as we were watching that battle for the transfer spot. The top 2 are close together, so are 3rd and 4th. 5th and 6th as well. Your top 6 are all close, but with laps winding down, the top 2 probably don't want to race each other too hard because they're guaranteed to move on. For Craig Tully and that number 13, David Cassidy, one of them's going in. One of them's going to be watching on Verdane TV and Tim's Corner Motorsports.
Well, that line behind Travis Roma looks like it's cranking up because I got a funny feeling Craig Tully's got that full mirror of this charge behind him, and he does not want that pressure. So you may see Tully try to put some pressure on Travis Roma in just a moment because 5 laps to go. It's go time, boys.
If I was the 2 leaders, I would do exactly what they're doing right now. I wouldn't push anything. I just kind of keep an eye out of what's going on behind me. Don't let them get much closer than that. If I was the 2 leaders, I would sit here just like that because you're guaranteed a spot. You're just kind of running your own pace. You're not taking a toll on your tires. We're going to talk about tires all night long based on this racetrack, the way it chews them up and the fact that you've only got 2 sets. So we'll talk about that all night long. But like I said, you have to start thinking about tires when they drop the green on the very first heat race.
Top 2 have been there the entire time. Craig Tully, though, is starting to reel in Travis Roma. So meanwhile, he's trying to fend off David Cassidy in the 13, or pardon me, David Cassidy in the 13. He's also starting to get closer to 2nd, so you know he's going to want to push the envelope to Travis Roma to try and get ahead so he's not worrying in that transfer position. I've seen Dave kind of look on the inside. He's kind of poked on the outside. But we saw David Cassidy get thrown out last race for applying a big bumper, and this is going to be the big question mark, gents. White flag is out, hooligan race number 1. Cassidy throws on the inside. Oh, it was close to throwing a little bumper. Now he slides up the track and falls way behind the number 5 Tully, and this is going to be the last chance to try and make the big show. Will he dive in? He dives in. So does Tully. 1, 2, 3, 00, 38, and Cassidy spins on the last lap. Craig Tully's going to move on to the 150 lapper tonight with Travis Roma and Tanton Woolridge.
And they were all wrecking behind Cassidy as they all tried to throw it in there, but Dave Cassidy had been a bit of a gentleman on that last one. Probably getting the warning on the black flag, kind of sunk in there. He did not want to ruin Tully's night twice in a row. So proper thing for Dave Cassidy, not throwing the big bumper. I was expecting a little bit of a scrub, but it is what it is. We are getting ready for our final qualifier here, boys. 6 have qualified from our qualifying. And then we've had our 3 heat races. We've had our LCQ. And now our final 3 coming in for the TC Auto. And look at that. Tony Stevens from Pit Road TV on front row with Kevin Cormier in the 52.
Mark Williams in the 42 is going to be starting 3rd in hooligan race number 2, the final last chance qualifier. Jake Goodwin, almost Hendrick Motorsports teammates there. You can see Jake's in the 24, the DuPont colors. Tony Wright in the Menards Valvoline, number 93, kind of stalled there on the front, but he gets it fired up. Caden Tuff's in the 88's a little further up just because 93 was a little slow getting started up. Caden's going to be starting 6th tonight in this last chance qualifier. Looking through the rest of the field, some of the starters you can see on the top of the score tickers as well, but I think some of them are kind of maybe hanging back, just trying to wait for the 93 to get back up there, but you can see the rest of the cars, and again, we can see, looks like the 024 of Gates also going to be in this, so Derek Gates. I can see Scott Drost, Vitch, and Hubley as well. There's Scott Drost in that 45, Daniel Vitch in the 911 car. And the 44, Doug Hubley, is going to be at the back of the field. So these drivers that are at the back, they're going to have to throw out patience for a bit and try to get to crunch time up in front. Mr. Tony Stevens, Pit Row TV's come down from the announcer booth into the race car. And the green flag is out for last chance qualifier 2, 25 laps around Oxford Plains, Dave.
A jump for the 92 car of Tony Stevens takes the lead down to turn 1. 52, the Ken Schrader lookalike car had the second spot, but Williams in the 42 got under him, so he'll take over second. There's your top 2. Or settle it in for the top 2. Now your battle's for third, which is your final transfer spot between the 88 of Caven Tufts and Jake Goodwin, the 24 car.
That 24, Jake Goodwin, Dave, if you recall over a couple of races that I've called with you, Goodwin was a stout car in that Napa 24, but tonight he's in the DuPont 24. On the heat race, Jake Goodwin was at the tail, just did not have enough in those 15 laps to make it go, but right now he's got Caden Tufts in front of him, the young Bando driver in the 88. Caden Tufts on the outside of that last transfer place. Kevin Cormier will be in protection mode. Tony Stevens, Mark Williams, your top 2.
Caden's going to have to drive real tough tonight to try and squeeze out the 52 out of that transfer position. Cormier holding strong behind Mark Williams, and Goodwin also starting to creep in to make it a 5-way up in front to try and either win this last chance qualifier or move on completely. Caden now throwing some pressure on the outside, kind of peaks. Some drivers got to really plan out their movements well ahead, Dave. They can't just do it on a win. They got to think, okay, am I going to go in a little lower out of the turn, or am I going to try and roll out higher to get that momentum?
Saw earlier in the race before this, 13 car, when he tried to pass the 5 car on the last lap, move into the corner as hard as he possibly could, and the car just pushed to the outside and pretty much nullified his chances of making the event. So this inside, like I said, it's my first time here at Oxford Plains. This inside lane seems to be where you need to be, and hopefully at the end of the night that outside lane will come in a little bit, because this is a tough little track to pass on.
And right now, Jake Goodwin now getting around Caden Tufts, boys. That's the car to be watching, the 24 on the DuPont 24. Jake Goodwin now trying to track down Kevin Cormier in the 52. Big position. Lots of laps left here. We got about 16 to go here with Tony Stevens of Pit Road TV leading the way here with Mark Williams in the 42 in the Lowe's car. Boys, I got a funny feeling last heat race qualifier, we may see a couple of cautions here.
Maybe that could be the case. In fact, it looks like, Mike, the top 5 is starting to kind of spread out a little bit. They were very close at one point, but your top 3 are starting to get away from Goodwin, and Caden Tufts is completely fallen off too. He's a bit further back, and you can see a few other cars kind of out of the picture. But in 6th, that is Gates, and Gates is one of the drivers who started at the back. He's starting to close in on the 88 Caden Tufts, but he's got a lot of real estate to gain if he wants to try and get in the top 3. He's right now in 6th with 3 more positions. He'd be up there, but he's still got some work left to do, Dave.
He's dropped. He's literally 3 seconds behind, 3.09 seconds behind that last lap, and with only 12 laps to go, he's going to need some help. He's going to need a caution is what he's going to need. I don't think he's going to be able to do it on his own, because those top 3 guys are pretty stout. They're running single file. They're running their line. They're kind of taking it easy and just kind of doing their thing, hitting their marks. And if you get out there, if you're in catch-up mode, you tend to wear tires out, or you tend to make mistakes, and you lose a 10th here and you lose a 10th there, find yourself way back in the back. With less than 10 laps to go right now, he's gonna need a little bit of help. The caution flag.
Yeah, Caden Tufts was the quickest car out of this field. Almost 5/10 of a second or 5/100ths of a second faster than everybody else. But right now, he's got about 2.866 seconds out. Tufts really needs a yellow flag here. Very strong 88 here tonight. But unfortunately, if he doesn't see a caution, I don't know if he can make up that time, because their top 4 starting to skate away. Jake Goodwin now managed to be able to pull within about 5/100ths of a second of Kevin Cormier.
I'm loving watching that battle between Goodwin and Cormier. Cormier's in the 52 Federated Auto Parts car, and Goodwin's in the Jeff Gordon DuPont machine. And Goodwin's been kind of looking on the outside quite a bit. You can see there he is, rolls, and maybe he'll try and do a crossover at a turn 1 and 2. Now we're on board with him, and look, he gets a little bit of a run, but he kind of hits the brakes a bit, because I don't know if he wants to try and make contact. That's the thing. If you hit someone, and that could bring out a caution, and that's going to be a no ball caution. I may have spoke too soon. They slammed into each other, more so the 24 hitting the 52. He got pretty loose at a turn 4, able to correct it. Dave, he's starting to close in with only about 5 laps to go.
The thing I'm noticing with the 24, we talked about it earlier, starting to see some outside moves. He doesn't look like he wants to do the inside. Looks like he's trying to take it to the outside. So maybe that outside lane may come. There he goes again on the outside. See this outside lane come in a little bit earlier than I initially talked about. It's the first car I've seen do that.
It's almost like he's trying to draw the 52 out and jump to the bottom here. He's like taunting him, and there he is, the contact. Cormier's around, and not sure if the yellow will come out, and it will. Oh boy, this is going to shake it up.
It'll be interesting to see what the call is, because they were really close coming out of the corner, and that's a bad part. When you're coming out of the corner like that, the car's really loose already, and it doesn't take much to get them turned around. I guess they're going to have to take a look at that again and see if we have another situation like we did with the Kellogg's car and the Captain Morgan car earlier. The blimp cam probably show a little bit closer. It was hard to see when it was happening live, but it'd be interesting. There we go. It should be interesting here.
Yeah, looking at the AWS Roofing Instant Replay, and we all saw it. The 24 kind of gave the 52 just a little bit of a boop, and man, the 52 hits that dirt pile a ton, and then he actually gets stuck on the next dirt pile. You see him really trying to spin the tires, burn them down, and he ends up calling for the tow truck, resetting himself down to pit road. So, going to end up having to sit on pit road for a couple of laps with 3 laps to go. That's definitely not the way to make it into the race. So, tough break for the 52. We're going to have to see what the call is on the number 24.
It was a slight scrub. I don't know. It's going to be a tough one, but those dirt piles on the, I know they're there to protect the poles, but damn, they look like ramps.
They basically are. I mean, that threw the 52 way up. And boys, I see the 024 now is listed as third. So that would give me the impression. I think Jake's going to be sent to the back with no fault cautions.
I'm looking at the scoring pylon here, and they've got Jake Goodwin back to 7th spot right now. And talking the final lap here, what's your top 3 or where they're going to be at this point? It looks like we have. Can we finish under caution in these heat races? In this heat race, or we have to go green?
Usually we don't finish under caution. Usually we get at least a green-white checkered, but this is starting to look like we're going to be finishing under caution here for this Conti.
It does.
Yep, there we go.
That's it. So Derek Gates in the 024. Merry Christmas in June. There's your present. You're going to the 150 lapper coming up in just a bit. Contact between Jake Goodwin and Kevin Cormier sends them both home to watch it on Tim's Corner Motorsports and Vidane TV. In fact, we got the man, the myth, the legend, Tim Terry in here. We finished that race under caution, Tim. No fault cautions played out once again, it looks like.
Yeah, and guess who screwed up and didn't add green white checkers to the server? Me. So
you're
we'll keep that in mind for the feature. Yeah, I'm going to be
so
popular. I already was. So that just adds it. One little misstep on my part. So yeah, no green white checker finishes. That finishes the way it is. We will roll into a 3-minute happy hour, and then we'll go.
I thought Rubin was racing.
Yeah, it was.
That was like a bit of a.
I think Rubin is more like my thing. Rubin is more of a side-to-side type of contact versus a front bumper, rear bumper thing. I'm not really sure you call front bumper, rear bumper a rubbing is racing situation.
Would it be?
There we go. Another one into the. No.
Would it be sexual?
Leave that one alone. 24 car just put one of the light poles again. There goes another one. Man, even practice is exciting out here. They're tearing cars up in practice. What do they say? Nobody wins practice, and they're out there running like it's a $1 million purse or something. They're tearing their stuff all up.
These boys have about a minute and a half here left in their final warm-up. Gives us a good opportunity here to play the Canadian National Anthem.
Get ready for the National Anthem here. If you're able to, would you please rise for singing of O Canada?
O Canada, our home and native land. True patriot love in all of us command. Quatre ombres
glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Drivers, start your engines.
Yes, bye. The anthem's all
Oh.
done.
Yes, bye.
Yes, bye. Love to
Yes,
hear all
bye.
those singers singing our national anthem. And I know we got a couple Americans racing in here tonight. Hey, welcome here for the big feature. If you just joined us on Vidane TV and Tim's Corner Motorsports, Dylan Langille, Dave Menifee, and Mike James in the announcer booth. It's the DC Auto ARCA National 150 times around the legendary Oxford Plains Speedway. Some of the cars in front, we didn't see them in the heat races because they made the race right on qualifying. Boys, let's go through some of the field here. Starting first, Keith McClellan in the number 30 Snap-on ride, and Stephen Matthews in the 56 outside pole in the number 56.
And on the inside of row number 2, the 87, the young Bando child, the Danny Chisholm, and he's going to have his teammate on the outside in position number 4, the 83 of Corey Hall.
Now, very rarely do we say this, but to the back will be Danny Chisholm. Danny has to go to the back of the field. He's on probation for a previous incident that he had a while back. Hey, a while back, a couple days ago, Craig McDonald won the first race for the Oxford 500 week on Tim's Corner Motorsports. He's in the number 1/98 Dale Jr. ride. Matthew Barkhouse in the Tide ride in the 15. Beautiful car. Now we got some of the heat race competitors, including Brandon Campbell, who won earlier. Next to him, that's Jason Goss in the 41, a winner as well. 141's Richard Drake, Mike, and there's a former winner here at Oxford for the eastbound races, Ethan Miller.
Yeah, complete the field here now. The 8-car, Evan Osborne, and look at that, the 75 of Mike Alexander in row number 6. Roger Down, the 21, in row number 7 on the inside. Stephen Lively in the 130. And we are about to get ready for racing. So Todd Cousins, Tant Woolridge, Tony Stevens of Pit Road, Travis Roma, Mark Williams, Craig Tully, Derek Gates, Dave, lights are out. We're getting ready for the DC Auto green flag action in the air.
That front row, if you're on the pole, you definitely get a jump. That's about every start that we've had. That front row guy on the inside front row really gets a jump, and it's got to be an advantage on this tight little track that we've got here. So our leader, McClellan, going to lead him down for lap number 1 with Craig McDonald, Brandon Campbell right on his back bumper.
A lot of single file racing off the start. Keith McClellan's got a fast charging Craig McDonald, who won here in the super late models a couple nights ago in that number 1. Patience will be key though, boys and girls watching tonight on Vidane TV and Tim's Corner Motorsports. In the comments section, let us know who you are cheering on. Maybe you've got your favorite driver, or maybe a sibling, a son, family member, whatever. Let us know where you're watching and who you're cheering on tonight. Lap number 3 is in the books. Lap 4 we are on now. And again, only one extra set of tires, and the tires are going to be chewed up by the end of the night. And there's Craig McDonald already using some of those tires. He's already throwing pressure underneath the number 30, Keith McClellan. 2 wide on the front stretch, Mike.
McDonald looking sharpity sharp on that inside. The one of Craig McDonald showing the way around here. Now look at that, opens the door for the 99. Brandon Campbell has moved up quite a bit since the start of the race. 5 laps in, Campbell's the one on the move right now.
You can already see Keith McClellan's being shoved back, and that's the outside lane, not developing right now. Passed by the 83, Corey Hall, so Corey slides underneath and gets around him, and Keith's going to slide back now into that 4th position with Rational Richard Drake right behind, Dave.
We'll file up front. That's where it's going to be. I think it's going to be, you'll see a lot of this here at the beginning of the race. The big car who was out front earlier, Keith McClellan, got shoved up to the outside. And that, not only is it the long way around, chews up the tires a little bit more when you're on the outside. So it was his advantage to actually try to find a hole in the line there and get back into single file racing. again, we're going to talk about it. Tires, tires, tires. We're only 8 laps in, but a long way to go. And you're going to see the tires. I think tires will come into play before we're done with this thing tonight, or this morning, as it were.
And we've seen a lot of these races, strategy on pit road. Jason Goss in 8th position. There in the last race, I believe, last week, went down pit road, tried to do a fast green flag pit stop. Did not work out for him, went down a lap, and lost the opportunity for his first checkered flag in one of these TCM events. Could this be the night for Jason Goss? He's got a bit of work to do. He's behind Stephen Matthews. Dylan Matthews started on the front of the row. He slid back to 7th, but it seems like he has stopped the damage and now is hunting down the 15 of Matthew Barkhouse. We're looking in now on the 56 of Stephen Matthews.
Front row's already fallen back quite a bit. You can see Keith Mack, and Steven fell back even further, but now kind of landing in that middle position in the top 10, around the 7th spot right now. So he's pretty good for now. And we're going to say it a lot here, but conserving will be key, at least on the early go, because you want to try and save those tires so you can have newer tires later in the race, so you can go all out by the end and not have to worry about, well, how blistered up are the tires, how worn down are they, am I going to be able to hit my marks in the corners. It's better to conserve early than having to conserve too late, and then by that you're in 7th, not even close to the top. At the top of the board right now, it is Craig McDonald, followed by a heat race winner earlier, Brandon Campbell. Corey Hall rounding out the podium positions. They're already starting to creep out to late lap traffic. Easy for me to even say that. Dave, please take over. I don't know what I'm saying. Craig Tully's in front of number 1, though.
You see the leaders kind of, just a little bit, almost a second lead for the number 1 car of Craig McDonald. So he's certainly got himself a little bit of a pad, able to kind of take it easy. And when you see them start developing a lead like that, their spotters are letting them know, hey, you've got about a second lead, or you've got a 1.5 lead, and they'll maybe not dive it into the corners as hard. And if you curve a little bit each lap here and there, if you can get an extra maybe 4, 5, 6 laps out of those tires at the end of a tire run, it could make a big difference when it comes down to the checkered flag.
And boys, just looking in at the lap times right now, Brandon Campbell in the 99 is the quickest car on the track with a 15.687. But look at the teammates. Craig McDonald leading the way, Corey Hall in that position number 3. But the one teammate that served the penalty, the 87, Danny Chisholm, all the way to the back, has picked up half the field at this point, sitting in the 13th position and on the move.
He is a young man on the move, goes around Evan Osborne in the 8, and Tony Stevens also following right behind. Tony won one of the last hooligan races, so now Tony Stevens, an announcer for Pit Road TV and the Cars Tour. I've been watching a lot of the Cars Tour. They've been doing some racing action down in the States, and it's been pretty cool to see some race cars back on track. And Tony's showing, hey, I'm not just good with a microphone. I'm pretty good on iRacing too, duking it out there with the number 8. And that's a little further back in the field as we're kind of watching here, but we're seeing cars already double wide. We've seen almost 3 wide racing so far too. So this is a little on back around the 13th position, 13th, 14th position. Evan Osborne on that outside lane, and he's just falling. There's just not enough rubber, at least at this time, laid down for the drivers to get grip.
And Dave, we're kind of looking at that outside line. Evan Osborne was just outside there, just could not make that work at this point. It may come into effect in about 70 to 75 laps, but unfortunately it's looking the inside lane is where you need to be right now.
I've seen several cars either get pushed to the outside or try to make an outside pass, and at this point none of that has worked. The black car here, there's no number. I don't even know what car that is. Is that what it is?
No, it's the black Stig. I don't even see him on my thing.
I don't know what number.
Stephen Lively.
It's Batman.
130.
It's Batman.
So that what that is? 130. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Must have missed it. He's on his own a little bit, but you can see he's starting to fall back just a little bit. Those tires getting heated up on the outside lane. There he goes. He finds himself a little spot right there, but lost about 2 or 3 spots on that outside. So like you mentioned earlier, the outside, that's not coming around quite yet. I tell you, right now we've gone 27 laps without a caution flag, and this, of course, sets up strategy. The strategy is going to come into play here later with pit stops and tires. Do you think? I've never been to this racetrack, but do you think anybody will try to go a full run on a set of tires?
We've seen a few guys be able to push the envelope. We've seen Corey Hall do it. Mike Alexander's a master at able to stretch the tires. That could happen. It wouldn't surprise me if someone's going to experiment. But Tim was telling me, Tim Terry, the great Tim Terry, was just saying like how this track and the way it's set up with iRacing, because you can tweak different things of how the tire wear will be and how loose the cars are. The tires are just going to get chewed up by the end. So I think it's going to be pretty tough to stretch it. And what about fuel? I know this is a very, very small track, but 150 laps in an ARCA car, I'm not sure about how big the fuel cells are, and will that maybe play a bit of a factor by the end?
It should be some interesting post-race interviews as once this is all said and done, we're going to get those strategies, but there's definitely going to be some in play. And one of the masters himself up front in position number 3, the 83 Corey Hall, has won quite a few races here in the TCM Super Events through strategy. So it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. But we're taking a look right now in the 30 of Keith McClellan, hanging out on that outside, and we just talked about that. It's going to be opened up the door for Stephen Matthews, and if Keith McClellan is not careful, he could be losing 4 or 5 positions right now.
That happened at the beginning of the race too. He was up towards the front, got kicked out to the outside, lost 4 spots, and he jumped back there, got back into the 5th spot, and was running on the inside. Then all of a sudden we look up, and he's back on the outside again. He lost another 3 spots. The little spot that he found in right there in front of the 41 car there. He was able to find his way in there, but I don't know the reason why the car kicked out. Maybe he's got a push in it. Maybe somebody tagged him or whatever. But 2 times he's gotten kind of pushed to the outside or ended up on the outside at some point and has lost literally 5 or 10 spots.
Well,
lap
boys.
35 at 150, boys. Lap 36 now of the DC Auto ARCA National 150. Mike, I know DC Auto's pretty close with you, and it's great that they're hopping on for the entire week. You're fueled by pizza and beer tonight, courtesy of them. So we're flying high again, having some fun on a Thursday night. Lap 37 now in the books, going to lap 38. And Keith Mack is slowly fading back on that outside lane. It's just not working for that number 30 car.
Came out of turn 2 on that last lap, and that car kicked out on him again. And he's found himself on the outside again. He's getting ready to lose 3 more spots.
Yeah, boys, right back from 141, Richard Drake, that whole battle position going back to Matthew Barkhouse, Keith McClellan, just keep an eye on 10th position. Danny Chisholm now has picked up quite a few spots and now is in that mix, now picking up another one. The 87 coming on strong now has Matthew Barkhouse and Jason Goss in view. So that is the man that's been on the move here tonight. Got the penalty served all the way back to position number 21 and now finding himself in the top 10.
He's kind of pulling the Rowdy Bush. I mean, Kyle been sent to the back a few times with different penalties, and he's able to drive his way through the truck field. So he'll dig his way back up. Speaking of drivers moving their way up front, Mike Alexander now makes the pass around the 56. Stephen Matthews, that's for another position. Mark that down. Richard Drake in the Laker News 141, also starting to get closer to that top front. Craig Tully in the number 5, who made it in through one of the heat races, and he's now one of the last chance qualifiers. He's now one of the cars a lap down. Not too many yet on the early get-go.
Well, there's no Captain Morgan mix with the cornflakes on this run, as
nope.
We'll
it's
see.
It's the Laker News newspaper and a bowl of Frosted Flakes.
Mike Alexander on the move, and it was lucky the 56 was managed to tuck in, because I'm not sure the move that Alexander had on him, but he was all the way out and now managed to squeeze in there and continue that chase. But look at that, the 87 of Danny Chisholm picking up another spot, and little root to Mike Alexander. Boy,
he just missed the wall. That was building up for a few laps where a few drivers there, Matthews 75 and Richard Drake, were all kind of bumper carring each other in the turns. They were just slamming right in each other's bumpers. something had to give, and it went right there. Contact between the 56 and the 75, bringing out the first caution on lap 45 at 150.
That wreck developed earlier in the corner. The 75 looks like he got in a little tight, a little hard, and behind that 40 or 141 car. His car, you see it just turned just a little bit, enough to slow it down a little bit, and then he got tagged by the 56. I don't think there was anything the 56 could have done in that case. It looked like the 75, it just got a little bit sideways coming out of the corner. 56 had nowhere to go.
The good thing with Oxford Plains, pretty similar to a few tracks here in the Maritimes, the track that kind of comes to my mind, at least here in Nova Scotia with Scotia Speed World, is that there's no wall there in turn number 1. If there was a wall, done. He would have been careened into the wall, and he'd have to go to the pits to get it fixed up. But goes for a little mowing session in the grass and no damage. And well, look at that. I think he's going to take advantage of this caution. He's going to throw some fresh tires on.
That could be a game changer right there. I know we're only 1/3 of the way, but Mike Alexander knows how to stretch things. This could be the only pit stop of the night for Mike Alexander, and Evan Osborne has also taken advantage. So you're going to see these cars take 4 tires for sure. But earlier on, Mike Alexander and I believe that the 56 were kind of involved in a little bit of play there earlier on because Mike got around the 56. I'm not sure if there was any. I know, Dave, you had said that it probably looked A-okay, but there might have been some love that lost earlier on.
You put some 21, 22 cars on a small little bull ring like this track here, you're liable to ruffle a little bit of feathers every once in a while. So that's the nature of the beast, is what they say.
We're also seeing Steve Matthews on pit road right now, 56. Looking at the pit times, just looking in, Mike Alexander down for 15.6 seconds, probably took 4 tires. Evan Osborne, 22 seconds.
You see the rear end of that one car kicked out on him when he came out of the corner. That could mean his tires are going away on him. If you watch that start, the rear end was kicking out on the number 1 car, your leader, Craig McDonald.
Could be. I mean, he was very loose on the start, but he's out in front and got a pretty sizable lead in front of Brandon Campbell. Brandon's got a wasp nest right behind him, and Corey Hall, and Corey's turned in the turn. Oh no, we've got a big one in turn number 1 and 2. Huge pileup, including a majority of the field. We're going to need Paul Strickland to show us what happened there. Because of the angle, I could see Corey getting loose at the top of the turn, but looks like he came down on the rest of the field, and field stacked up.
Well, the good thing is they didn't hit any of those anthills.
True. Oh, the ramps.
Launching them off into parts unknown, but we're going to pull up the Shed Life Shed Movers instant replay here and find out exactly what went down. It looked like it started up front, like you guys said, with the Corey Hall machine. Saw him get just a little bit sideways out of our live shot, and we're pulling it up here on the old instant replay. And we're going to take a look at it from the blimp here, right off the start, or right from the start, as it were. And you can see the 83 and the 1, both of them, Dave made mention, the back end's kind of got a little bit squirrely, so these guys definitely think tire wear is going to start becoming an issue here, but we'll take a look. 83 is on the outside. Doesn't really seem like it's fully come in yet. Definitely trying to send it on the outside, though, holding into it, and they get 3 wide heading down into the corner. 83 comes up along the 98, gets a little bit of a shot from the 87.
Oh, that started with the 87.
Yep.
The 87 of, I think
Danny
that's the penalty guy, right? Isn't that the penalty guy, Danny Chisholm?
That is,
Yep.
that is the penalty guy, Danny Chisholm. That's his new nickname.
The penalty guys.
All right. That started with the 87. He stuck his nose down there and made it 3 deep and hit the car in the middle, which turned the car on the outside. So they'll probably need to take a look at that one, too.
Take a look from the cockpit here, the number 92 of Tony Stevens, as I don't believe he hit anything. He did a great job avoiding all this calamity here.
Woo!
Drives on through, no problems, no fuss, no muss. So definitely some heads-up driving from number 92 of Tony Stevens.
His crew chief is like, Cole, you could drive through it. Cole, you could drive through it.
Let's say if we can get Paul to rewind that again, you'll be able to see how it went down 3 deep down in that corner, which 3 deep is difficult on a bigger track, much less track, big as this or as small as this one.
Well, no messing around. We are back to
You
action.
aren't.
87 was served the penalty to the back of the field and now in 18th position.
It's the penalty guy.
Yeah, the penalty guy. Craig McDonald got his partner there, the 83, Corey Hall, but Brandon Campbell running a great race here tonight in the 99. But he's going to give up that position to Corey Hall and now two teammates. Little shake and bake on the front row.
CHR in front. It's interesting that Corey wasn't thrown back a little further, but I guess with just so many cars involved, you figure, okay, we'll just keep a majority of people in their positions. But you can see a lot of damage on the 15, Matthew Barkhouse, and on the front of Brandon Campbell. Brandon's being shoved out. He's been cleaned out, tied, fresh clean, if you will. Now Brandon settles back in right behind the 15. After a big pileup in turn 2, we're back racing again on lap 59 to 150. It's the DC Auto ARCA National 150, part of the Oxford 50 week. 250 laps coming up tomorrow, but tonight 150 in the ARCA style car. And a lot of these ARCA style cars, they still got sheet metal on them. Thank goodness there's no actual fabricators. Gonna have to try and put some arm power into fixing them up.
I'm looking at the tracker right now, and I'm trying to determine what is the first car in this lead pack that got tires on that last caution. And it looks like it might be the 75 of Mike Alexander. But he has got the freshest tires out of all of them. Right now, currently sitting in the 7th spot. He may just kind of be sitting back there. He'll pick them off one by one because all the rest of those guys with minimal caution flags here, they have to pit for tires. Mike might be sitting in a catbird seat right now.
And Mike, too, he went down twice, so the way he did that, he probably threw on the right sides, and you have to move quickly because on pit road, even at Oxford, you can go a lap down pretty quick, and you can see, he turned the 99.
Oh, that's
Brandon
probably
Campbell
put him
gets
in the
turned by
back.
the fast car, 75 Alexander. That's probably just those fresh tires just chewing through the competition. But we were just going to mention that Mike went down pit road twice on the caution to get the rights on and get the lefts. No caution on the track. And I've never seen a black flag thrown out in the middle of a green flag stretch. But Mike there just has so much power in those new tires. He just drove right through the 99.
You say drove through the 99, you literally meant drove right through the 99. And by the way, as a flagman, I've been flagging for a long time. I have, in fact, thrown the black flag during a green flag run, so it is not unusual.
So where you got to keep your eye as a flagman, Dave. You were just saying there, how do you try and keep your eyeballs on all the cars and seeing what's happening everywhere? I mean, we're watching a battle kind of further back in, luckily because we're on broadcast, but as a flagman, is it tough kind of spotting what's going on in the track? Are you focusing on the tight battles?
It really is. And, once you're at a track for a long time, my first track that I was at the Old Dominion Speedway in Manassas. I was there for about 30 some odd years and the flag stand for 19. And after you do it a few years, you kind of get a grip as to the drivers and how they respond and how they react and so forth, and the drivers that have been there a while and haven't been there for a while, and you just kind of got to scan the track. You're right, it is difficult to concentrate on all of them, but you kind of look at the ones that are, you kind of look at the packs. You pay attention to the packs because that's generally where things are going to happen. If you get a lead car out like the number 1 car of Corey McDonald, you watch him because you got to know who your lead car is, but don't really kind of look at it as much as you do with some of the cars once you start seeing grouping them up. But it is a difficult task at hand, and at the end of the night, a lot of times you'll get a fan or a chief or something come up and he says, "Yeah, did you see that guy? He hit my car." And I have to tell him, I'm trying to watch 25 cars and you're watching one of your cars, so it is a difficult task. After a while, you kind of tend to migrate to where you think the problem is going to be, and a lot of times you're right.
Just looking at the score ticker, Mike Alexander is at least 0.3 faster than your top two, Craig McDonald and Corey Hall. You can see it. Magic Mike's is on the rear end of that Navy 83, and that Navy 83's got a lot of back-end damage, but Mike, with those new tires, he's just chewing through the competition.
Yeah, a little WWE action now in the 75 on Corey Hall, and vying for the front with Craig McDonald. No black flag was thrown at him with that situation with the 99 of Brandon Campbell. I was thinking Brandon Campbell wanted that caution to come out, but he did not go down a lap, so Campbell still did not enter pit road, so he managed to survive that incident and now trying to recompose himself in position number 17th.
Ooh.
But here we go, the 75, a little rubbing. And your new leader, the 75, Mike Alexander. Rubbin's racing up the side. They exchanged a little bit of vinyl on that 83 and 98 of Craig McDonald.
Man, Mike just shoved Craig out of the way. That wasn't the tap of, excuse me, sir, let's go around you. That was, I'm going, and there's nothing you can do about it. Halfway through the DC Auto ARCA National 150 at the legendary Oxford Plains Speedway, we've seen so many Maritimers, so many great Americans win here, and a lot of drivers that won here would actually go on to NASCAR careers in the Cup Series or the Busch Series, which is really cool. We're here virtually tonight. Mike Alexander's got the freshest set of tires on the car. Reminder, though, only one fresh set. Something that may be a disadvantage that I'm seeing here, guys, because of how quick Mike got to the top of the field. He was at the back after he spun out earlier. How fast he is now over the halfway point, we could go green flag racing the entire time, but realistically, a good chunk of these drivers are going to go down pit road soon, and that means they're going to have a lot fresher tires compared to Mike, and it looks like the fresh tires will get you to the front right away.
Issue now is, though, if these guys start pitting in the next 10 or so laps or 15 laps, that's going to put them, I guess, at least, 2 laps down? Maybe will they lose 2 laps under a green flag stop? I mean, 2 laps down. If it goes green, that kind of hands the race over to Alexander if these front guys start pitting. Because, you lose 2 laps. Even if you're 3 to 4 tenths faster with only, 70 laps to go, going to be difficult to make up 2 laps.
Boys, we're looking in right now on the 41 of Jason Goss of Torbay, trying to protect, not going down a lap. And Mike Alexander getting a little frustration.
Cars wrecked in turn number 4. Sorry to jump in.
Jason Goss got saved by that caution, boys. Mike Alexander was coming in hot, and he was protecting to try to stay on that lead lap. That caution came out at the perfect time for Goss in the 41.
And Mike Alexander did not want to see that caution now, because now what's going to happen is everybody behind him is going to go in and put on it, or everybody that hadn't pit before, put on a new set of tires. Mike's got 30, 40 laps on his tires, and now these guys are going to be able to run the last 70 or so laps on a new set of tires, and he's going to have about 70 laps or 30 laps on his.
Oh, 3 wide here. Where is our buddy Paul?
Just taking a look. It looks like the 92 of Tony Stephen gets into the back of the 2 car. A little bit of calamity going on in front of those guys, and luckily there's no wall right there. The 56 was able to just kind of roll up into the dirt up top there, so that's good news there. You see Richard Drake able to grab a gear spinner on around and get it pointed in the right direction, so definitely good news there. Back it up one more time here, see if we can just take another quick peek at exactly the 2 got rolled up there. But yeah, like you mentioned, Mike, 3 wide here for a little bit, and the 2 kind of backs up, and just a little bit of a tap sends them on around. So tough break for those guys. A little bit of damage on the 2, a little bit of damage on the 141, a little bit on the 56, but nothing prohibitive here to make it so these guys can't finish the rest of the race.
Guys, pit road is alive. We see a lot of our cars, like you said, Dave, a lot of cars are on pit road. Jason Goss now reporting. It looks like he took right sides. Brandon Campbell is down as well now. Trying to make up for that awful spin by the 75, Mike Alexander. So Campbell trying to get back into the race right now. We've seen Danny Chisholm, Craig McDonald, Corey Hall, and all of our leaders earlier on head down pit road at least once. Now, we do have a couple of cars that stayed out. Craig Tully, the cornflake guy, Keith McClellan, Travis Roma, and Mark Williams did not report the pit road and will stay out there with Mike Alexander.
It's an interesting strategy, Cotton. We'll see if that pays off. I had to use the quote from Dodgeball. That movie turned 16 years old today.
Cornflakes on front row, Mike Alexander.
Cornflakes with some vinyl design.
Now, also not reporting to pit road was the 141 of Richard Drake and Todd Cousins. Now, they are at the tail as they were down a lap, so they managed to squeeze the lap back. Steve Matthews and back are down 1 lap here. Our last car on the lead lap, Roger Down in the 21 in the 15th position. But we are going to get set. Lights are out on the pit road. It is the DC Auto 150, and we are 3/4 of the way, boys. It's Mike Alexander, and look who's made it up to the top 2 or top 4. Craig McClellan or Keith McClellan on the outside of row number 2 or inside of row number 2.
Where is he?
Blah, 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 blah.
Well, we know the green flag's back out there. Craig Tully is already getting passed by the number 30, Keith McClellan. Fresh tires on a lot of these cars, but, oh, man, we're almost 4 wide going into turn number 3. Holy moly, and we got now tangled up, but they saved it, though, at the top of the track. That's Roma, and looks like maybe Corey Hall got kind of tangled up there. You can see Craig McDonald throwing some pressure on Matthew Barkhouse. Man, pardon me, Matthew Barkhouse is a bit further back. Craig Tully, I'm getting my Tide and my cornflakes mixed up. That's never a good thing. We're just having some fun with the sponsors. Dave, lap 90 here, now into 91, and business is starting to pick up with cars trying to get as much positions as they can, but meanwhile, Mike Alexander's pulling away.
And I'm kind of looking at Alexander now, but at this point, once these cars clear themselves back here, some of the guys that got tires, once everything kind of gets down a little bit, I suspect that probably closer to the 120, 130 lap mark, you might see some of these guys start making up some time. Their tires, I get, right around 30, 35 laps difference in a set of tires. They should be a little bit faster than that the 75 car, Mike Alexander. And I'm also looking on the tracker here, and our penalty guy, he's up to the 5th place spot according to the tracker that I have here, Danny Chisholm. So he started in the back, he made it up to the front, then he ended up in the back again, and now he's back up towards the front again. So good run for the 87 car of Danny Chisholm.
Oh, yeah, we got Matthew Barkhouse turned around. He gets hit by Roma, hit by Tully. Oh,
there's
man.
There's that Tide and cornflake combo that you were talking about.
They got to stop mixing together, man. That's not good.
That's
now
poison.
I noticed that Travis.
The Tide Pod car? I hope not, right? They're not even.
No, it's just the OG Tide. But I noticed that Travis Roma was slow at the top of the track. But what happened? I mean, we got to kind of see. Oh well, we're kind of getting a preview here. What happened? Travis went for a little free ride.
Or right field.
Out there in right field was the 38 car, and you can see it looks like he gets a tap. Well, he gets a shove and gets on out there. Good thing there's no wall there. But that's why we saw. That's why we didn't see any kind of caution for anything like that. He's he's way out of the racing groove, way out there. But this is where we saw the live shot of the 38 being slow, able to come that back down, get to. Jammed through the gears here, but then right after this, he actually gets out of shape. The 15 gets out of shape, and
15 had some help. If you go back, the 15 had some help by it. Looked like a black car or a green car. That green car right there,
that 99 car,
helped him get out of shape. He went into the corner. There had a little bit of help, and he was trying to get straightened out. And 38, he'd just come out of the field and end up getting wadded up by the 15. So,
and the 15. Came across the nose of the 5 there, and he got eggnog and his goat milk.
Oh,
goat milk and cornflakes. So we've had Captain Morgan, we've had double, we've had Tide in the cornflakes, and now we have goat milk.
Look who's up there in 3rd spot, guys.
Ricky Bobby.
Ricky Bobby. Rowdy Burns.
Who? What?
Some movie driver.
Yeah, come on, man. You don't know who Rowdy Burns is?
Mike, we may need to give you some homework tonight. You may have to watch Days of Thunder again.
I watched it the other night. He's not the 87 car.
The 87 is the Exxon car. The Exxon car, not the 87 car.
It was 51 in the movie, but it's 87 on Danny's car.
Oh, this guy even knows the number.
I know. I've watched Days of Thunder a few times in my day. It's been actually quite a while since I've watched it. I don't know if it's on Netflix or anything, so just haven't watched it in a bit.
You know what I find crazy is the old school guys freaking hate Talladega Nights.
Oh, well.
I won't watch it.
Yeah, there you go. Old school guy
There
Dave
you
does
go.
not
I
like
won't watch
Talladega
I
Nights.
refuse to watch it.
Come on, a little satire won't hurt you.
Well, I'm not.
Come on.
But I'm not a
It's all
huge
for
Will Ferrell fan either. But
We got green flag, Dave.
we do. And look, the one car is able to kind of hang with this 75, albeit on the belly was. It got a little tap there. It ended up. Saw it earlier. Car getting on the outside, just not able to hang on from the outside. But now got 87 there. Danny Chisholm in second place. Let's see if he's going to be able to put some pressure on Mike Alexander.
Craig, save it, Craig. Oh, no. Oh, he gets hit by Jason Goss in the 41. Boys, we're seeing those fresh tires starting to work for the rest of the field, but not for the number one. He was on the outside, knocked out a bit earlier, and he just couldn't get back in. He just got loose again. You can see maybe some contact with Ethan Miller as Craig was really wide on the backstretch, trying to dive into turn 3. A little bit of a tap there from the 80, Ethan Miller, and Craig tried to save it. A little bit of a kiss there from the 41 and the 30. Even the Canada car got a little piece of the action, too.
Yeah, I think what we're starting to see here, guys, is a little bit of a mixture of some of the old tires, new tires, 2 tires, no tires, and some of the guys with the tires maybe running a little bit quicker lap times, trying to get past the guys that haven't taken tires yet, and just kind of jumbled everybody up right there. One getting the worst of the wear there as he got bumped a couple of times as he was already sideways.
Well, let's talk about strategy because Jason Goss was just in the top 8 and just reported to pit road. Steve Matthews, Matthew Barkhouse, another top runner here tonight, has gone down as well. So a little bit of a strategy. Matthew Barkhouse down 3 times tonight. Jason Goss reporting 3 times as well.
Just noticed it looks like my tracker has frozen over here on lap 79. So
that's because you're so old, Dave.
Yeah, that's what it is. Maybe Paul can help me out here a little bit.
You got to replace that Commodore 64.
Yeah.
I'm just joking.
It's all good. It's all good. It's never used one of those.
It's the India beer here tonight.
Well, I'm stuck on lap 79. There we go. Okay, I can do that.
So, Dylan, I've been announcing for quite some time, Dylan, and I've never had a sponsor send a pizza and beer to my house. So, big shout out and thank you to the boys at DC Auto out in Fort McMurray. And just so you guys know, he is the spotter here tonight. The owner of DC Auto is spotting for Jason Goss, but he's also behind Dean Martin from the Eastbound Track, one of the top drivers in Newfoundland and Labrador, and also is involved with Kyle and Chris Reed, who's also part of the Maritime Pro Stock. So the boys at DC Auto get to get around a little bit. They did some racing down in Richmond last year. So big shout out, thank you to Doug Critch and DC Auto, as well as my good friends at Atlas Pizza for delivering that nice gift here tonight.
Thanks for sharing, Mike.
This caution's been brought to you by India Beer.
I'm confused what's going on here. The cars were scattered, and we kind of green flag racing.
And the pace truck is in the middle of the field right now, so that's a little interesting.
I'm guessing the field probably wasn't completely set. Maybe the pace driver heard pizza and decided to pull in a bit early.
That's
I don't know.
I was just saying, pizza and beer, and they were like, "Where?"
Oh, it looks like we were in the middle of sending a driver or two to the back, and we didn't quite get it set up. And when the command got sent out to extend the caution, it threw the green, got everybody jumbled up, and then a quick caution right after that.
Well, that Silverado just ran them all over.
It ran through them.
New leader, pace truck.
I've actually seen that happen before at a race. I was visiting another racetrack one night, and they threw the green flag with the pace car still out there. It was a brand new Corvette, and I don't know how the field missed him. I've actually seen that happen.
I would pay to go see that.
We laugh about it, but I've actually seen it happen.
I'd pay to go see that. That would probably hit a couple million views on YouTube.
He went down in front straight away, and they turned the green lights on. The poor pace car was out there in front of all them cars, and it was a mess, man. Nobody crashed.
I love it when the producers say we're going green and the flagman decides not to throw it, and our leaders, everybody checks up behind the leaders, and you get a big.
You got to be careful with that too, and sometimes things will get misconstrued between the A and the B every once in a while, and you have to be careful But when you throw that caution flag, once you figure out that you've screwed up, you've got to pick a spot on a racetrack and you throw that caution. Otherwise, you'll wad a bunch of them up.
Danny Chisholm got a little bit of a bumper from one of his teammates there, and Danny's being kind of pushed out to the outside. Now Brandon Campbell, who got turned by Mike Alexander earlier, is now in 4th. He's got fresh tires. I'm wondering if maybe a little revenge time may come to the number 75. If Brandon gets close enough, he's in 3rd now. Corey Hall's in 2nd. The fresh tires are starting to work out in the favor of the rest of the cars. Mike Alexander, he pitted a lot earlier compared to everybody else. He's just trying to fend off the rest of the competition. We've got Danny Chisholm almost going on one of the anthills. I don't know if that would, pull a Dukes of Hazzard and try and throw you over the competition, but he settles back now in that 5th position. Lap car, top slow car at the back, at the top of the track. We got a pile up now in turn 1 and 2, boys.
I was just about to say that cautions breed cautions, and that we're probably going to see a couple before we get to the big DC 150. But one thing we did not do here tonight is our picks. And this caution obviously was kind of going to help with the picks just a little bit. But we're going to talk to Paul, and then we're going to go back to the picks.
Taking a look at the Shed Movers instant replay here, and we're going to focus in on the 92 because he was off there in right field and comes into the corner, and the 1242, check that, gets spun around there. We're going to rewind that one more time and look at it from the
That's a horrible view, Paul.
Yeah, that was terrible. We'll do it again. We'll do it again the right way this
Tony
time.
Stevens.
42 got tapped by the 41, and that's what caused all this.
Yep.
No, it didn't. He's the sponsor. Shh.
Well, he didn't send me any pizza, so.
Shut up, Dave.
I got a lot of friends on the racetrack, and they were like, "Hey, Dave, when they see me at the beginning of the race," but then I was like, "When you go on the racetrack, you just remember my friend." So, all right, 41. He may be the sponsor. Nothing.
Joshing.
I know. I don't want to mess your sponsors up, but I call it the way I saw it. So.
I like that about you.
Man, I just want pizza. We keep talking about it. We're pulling a Tim Terry talking about.
I got a half
here.
a pizza left. Maybe
and I'm on a diet. You guys are killing me over here.
I could UPS a 6-pack and a pizza to you tomorrow.
Oh.
Because there's
What's
no.
the name of those drinks you guys were talking about a couple
Wobbly
weeks ago?
Pops.
Oh my God, there it is.
India beer.
Wobblies.
That the actual name, or is that what you call it?
Nickname.
Nickname?
Yeah, because after you have a bunch of those pops, you start to become a little wobbly.
Yeah.
We're still
So,
pacing around.
Let's go back to what we were saying,
yeah.
I was saying. So I don't know, because I was about to pick. I'd like to know before I do my pick to see what happens to 41. So it looks like, did the 41 get sent to the back?
He's in 14th, so that would a little bit further on back.
Yeah.
So okay, quickly, we're going back to Green Flag Racing. Who's
What's your pick?
Who's my pick?
Yeah.
I'm going to pick Brandon Campbell. I think he's going to be a man.
Dave?
I was actually going to pick Brandon Campbell myself, but since it was, it's already been taken. I'm going to take the. I'm still going to go with the penalty guy. He's there in 6th place right now, and I think he's passed more cars than anybody else. I think I'm going to go with Rowdy Burns there in the 87.
Well, I'm going with Jason Goss. 3 pits here tonight, fresher tires than anybody here. Unfortunately, on that last caution, got tangled up, and you know what? I just opened my mouth.
Just eat your pizza. Eat your pizza, Mike. Eat your pizza.
But
the 30 laps left to go here with the 41. Oh, man, he's on the outside, hanging way out there. That's Corey Hall in the 83. He's spun out a few times. In fact, I think everybody in the top 5 has had either a wreck or they've been sent to the back here. So that's just how crazy iRacing can get. Less than 30 laps to go. A lot of single file racing. This is the nitty-gritty part of the race. You can see Danny throwing some pressure on the rear of Brandon Campbell. Mike Alexander has led a good chunk of this race, the majority so far. But Corey Hall and the 99 have been showing glimpses of what they could maybe show, as Mike is Mr. Conservative as well on those older tires, and he's getting a little bit of a shot there, a shot to the shorts from the number 83, Dave.
The tires are starting to come into play now. Like we mentioned earlier, he's probably got 30 5 laps, more laps on his tires than the cars behind him. And honestly, I think Danny
Chisholm goes for. Now that may not bring out the caution though, because there's only one car. Brandon was able to save it, so no caution here at Oxford. And now take the words out of my mouth. There's the caution now.
He went the 87 went shooting across. Where did he end up? I didn't even see where he ended up.
Right field.
Field
yeah, I mean he went. I mean he shot across the racetrack. That was if he hit anything, it was going to be hard.
He's on pit road. Danny Chisholm on pit road right now, boys.
He's the one that went across the racetrack. He was the one that got into the to the 99 there, right, going into the corner.
We lost Paul.
And he got hit, and then he went all
Ooh.
See what I mean? He went shooting across the racetrack.
Hard hit on the driver's side, and that was a little shot there from Craig McDonald in the number 1. So we'll have to see how the field kind of settles out here, as we may have some drivers sent to the back because of the incidental contact. Danny Chisholm will have to try and go from the back once again. He's going to be near probably 13th position, as he's on pit road trying to fix up some damage on that number 50 or the 87. I almost said 51 because he's got Exxon on the car, but yeah, look at all the damage on the right side.
Yeah, they got him in 18th spot already, 1 lap down already. So yeah, it with less than 30 laps to go, it probably have to call it a day for the Exxon car.
Well, looks like Jason Gospel's the lucky dog recipient, so he's going to come back on the lead lap here. So he's in position number 11. He did visit. I was about to talk to you about pit road visits. Jason Gospel now 3 times, but one to watch for that was out in front there. Just managed to escape all that calamity, you'll call it. Paul's favorite word. Stephen Matthews in the 56 had visited 3 times here tonight. And I believe Matthew Barkhouse has been down 5 times, but Barkhouse down 1 lap here tonight.
I get another pick.
No.
Pick lasted a lap.
Well, that's it. No pizza for you. No soup for you.
No pizza.
No pizza for you.
Man, I may have to get a slice of pizza on my way home from work or something tomorrow. We just keep talking about it so much.
But you know what? There's pizza and then there's real pizza. Tonight, I got real pizza from Torbay. Atlas Pizza, boy, it's not no Domino's. But we got green flag, boys. Mike Alexander got pressure from the outside. Corey Hall in the 83, hanging it out there, and a little bit more fresher tire. Can he make the outside work? As we have 20 laps to go, and look at that, the 56.
Got the hood on one car.
Cars are scattering all over the track. Hoods are flying up, and Corey Hall is able to hold next to. Oh, they got a little loose, though. I was going to say Corey was able to hold strong with Mike, but got a little bobble out of turn number 2. And look at that. It's the number 99, Brandon Campbell, right behind Mike Alexander. Will there be a little shot to the back of the 75 to move him up the track, to not try and wreck him, but just to try and move him out of the way? These are 2 cars that were tangled up earlier. And look at Keith McClellan back in the top 3, now top 4, as he kind of sent it in a little deep there in turn 3 and 4. But impressive run from Keith. I mean, he was at the front here. He started on pole tonight. He's been at the back, and now he's back in the front with less than 20 laps to go.
He's been struggling most of the night. He spent a lot of time on the outside of the track, like when he goes into the corner on certain laps, he wants to push his way out, and he's found himself on the outside a lot, which has cost him a lot of positions today.
Well, Craig McDonald's got the hood flapping there, trying to make this work for him behind Keith McClellan in the 30. But look at that. Brandon Campbell went all the way to the back of the pack, got into Mike Alexander, kind of rode right through him. We did not get the black flag. So there's a bit of history right now between the 99 and 75. Campbell looking strong here tonight because he's got the 83 pushing up for the back. Could be an advantage for the 99 to try to pick Mike Alexander with the little fresher tires.
14 laps to go. Something happened with Brandon there on the lap right before. He was a little loose when we kind of cut the camera to the battle with the top 3. He was a little loose, and you can see he's got fresher tires, but Mike, he knows how to play the old tires very well. He is still your leader with 13 laps to go, 150 times around Oxford Plains Speedway, the ARCA-style cars. It's coming down to the wire, as most TCM events seem to come to the end of the wire. As 1 lap 38 now in the books. I'm getting kind of tongue-tied here watching this big battle, but caution out with 12 laps to go.
I was going to say we're going to probably see a green-white checker because that's the norm here at TCM, but we're seeing a caution here on lap number 138, brought to you by India Beer.
So what brought out the caution? I think we're kind of focusing on your previous pick there, 41, Mikey.
That's not good.
That's not good. Let's see what happens. Oh, maybe not. He was avoiding stuff.
He drove through it.
He's a pass this time.
Ooh, Matthew Barkhouse.
You know, this microphone thing works a whole lot better when you turn it on. We're going to take a look at the Shed Life Shed Movers instant replay here, and we saw it as we were backing through the tapes here. It looks like that black car got around. Looks like he didn't get too much help, just kind of sent on around in the 15, had nowhere to go, kind of ran right up into him, and kind of slowed everybody down. Not a big hit, so not too much damage, but I don't know. They're going to be restarting at the back of the field with less than 10 laps to go, boys.
And it's going to be a dramatic final 10 laps here. We're probably going to see a couple more yellow ones here, boys. But like I said, I got a funny feeling it's going to end on a green-white checker.
Well, one thing we got to make mention, we did have the experience there in the Conti race. Tim Terry forgot to turn the green-white checkers on. So if we do get a late race caution, we can finish this race under yellow.
That's not going to happen. Come on, Paul.
It's going to be like old school NASCAR
Is it actually for the whole day? So there is no green-white checkers?
Correct.
Oh, you got to be kidding me.
Tim,
we cannot finish the race like this. You need to reset it.
All right, race fans. Well, if you love the 90s NASCAR where there would be 5 laps to go and they'd pace around for the final, well, you better hope there's no caution.
Oh, dude, someone's going to pick up on the broadcast here and now phone Mike Alexander or someone and say, cause a caution, would you?
I used to
Where is the
hate
button?
that.
Someone's going to press the button here.
I was so happy when they brought the green-white checkered into NASCAR when I was a kid, because there'd be so many times I'd be cheering on Dale Jr. caution at the end of the race, and they would pace around for the final laps, and he wouldn't get a chance to try and win. But with 7 laps to go, you better hope there's no cautions. But Brandon Campbell's on that outside with fresh tires. Still the leader's the 75. Going to try and hold back. He's going to close in here. Brandon does a little in front, though. Green flag's back out, Dave, here at Oxford. And Mike Alexander slides in front of the 99. Oh, but he gets shoved up the track by Corey Hall. Corey now goes to second.
You notice how Mike hung back on that start. He let the 99 take the lead going into 3. Hung back a little bit on the start and kind of snookered him going into turn 4 and got the lead.
And boys, this is getting lots of wreckety racks going on behind here. We got cars wrecking. That's the 92. They are going to throw the caution, and please, dear God, can we restack them before we get to 150? Because if not, it's going to be Mike Alexander with checkers here tonight.
Yeah, we'll have to kind of wait and see if we're kind of learning by the seat of our pants here, race fans. And we want to thank you all again for watching on Vidane TV and Tim's Corner Motorsports. Speaking of Vidane TV's own Paul Showtime Strickland Jr. is going to show us what brought out that caution. I saw the 141 sideways. Tony Stevens was out in the outfield. What happened?
Not entirely sure. Look, okay, here we go. The 80 gets into the back of the 41. The 41 does a great job trying to hold on to it. Tony Stevens had nowhere to go, just jumped up high to try to avoid the spin there. But then we saw the 56 and the 42 get together. That's where we see Tony Stevens go on the right field and hit the wall this time.
He kind of dukes a hazard over the bank there.
You can almost hear the horn from here. But we'll stop that. We'll switch that over to the 42. And he's already pointing the wrong way there. A little weird spin here. So 56 gets a shot from the 2. The 42 kind of comes around and overcorrects as he's trying to avoid the 56. And there you see Tony Stevens just taking a right turn.
Exit right here now.
You get an in-car from that 80, that Monster Energy machine, that number 80, that Ethan Miller. He did a heck of a job of missing that 42. It kind of stopped right in front of him. If you had an in-car from the 80, he did a heck of a job for missing him.
Boys, I'm seeing the laps wind down here. I'm getting a little worried that this may have been the race there. That last caution may have been it. Oh, wait a minute.
This is where we need to stack them and fire them.
All complaints go to Tim Terry. Tim Terry at TCM.
Oh, did you just see that?
They spun the
Mike
leader
Alexander
under
just got routed by Corey Hall.
Well, I'm wondering if now that's pretty much just official there.
What?
You can't put the 75 in the back for spinning, but you got to do something. It was all under caution. 83 just kind of okay. This ain't right.
That was blatant. He's pissed. I think Tim just told him that they were going to finish under caution. Corey Hall just showed some frustration.
What are they going to do with the 75 if they finish under caution?
Ooh. Oh, brother, how art thou? What is on the go?
What is it? We're
I feel like I'm in the twilight zone.
Well, I think that's it. Race fans, winner tonight of the DC Auto ARCA National 150. We would like to see a green white checkered, but going old school tonight here at the old school Oxford Plains Speedway. Mike Alexander will get the win, hanging on with older tires. Corey Hall will finish second, and Craig McDonald in the 98/1 will still finish on the podium, finishing third. And there's Magic Mike burning down the rubber, the old tires. He was able to hang on, and we'll get a word with our top three coming up here in a few minutes. But yeah, just you forget to touch one button to set green white checkers, and that just kind of sets the plate there. But great racing for the most part. We had a couple wrecks here and there, and again, it would have been nice to see cars not diving into turns at the end, but that's iRacing. It's something we kind of see here.
I guess Tony is going to hit the first call that Tony gets tonight is going to be from Corey Hall, I'll bet. No green white checker.
I don't even know what to say. I'm not sure, but they're still scoring Corey Hall as second. We got Tim in here.
What's going on, guys?
What in the what?
What in the what? Well, we're kind of looking through the other finishers here. You can see Mark Williams, Evan Osborne, 21st at the back there. A lot of stout drivers, probably a couple drivers, maybe a little ticked at the end for where they maybe finished and how it wrapped up. But we're gonna talk to some of our top finishers. In fact, I see second place finisher Corey Hall in here. Corey, can you hear us?
Yeah, I got you guys loud and clear. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Good racing out there. A lot of fun. You got knocked in. Your back end was pretty beat up there. But with no green white checkered, you just didn't have the chance to try and pounce on Mike. But if the caution didn't come out, did you think you had enough with the fresher tires to get around him?
Oh yeah. It was it kind of sucked because when Mike did it, he was able to have a long green flag run. And he was, don't get me wrong, he did a great job, and he comes to the field quick. He just turn under people and drive off. But with all the cautions happening, we never got a run to get up through the field and take advantage of the tires while they're still good. And nonetheless, it was a good race, and definitely got beat around a lot. I don't even really know how we got back up into second with a lot of things that were going on, but had a strong car, and I guess picked the wrong strategy. Props to Mike. I was with these K&N cars, you can't exactly move people, so I was trying to plan what I was going to do and thought I had time. And, we had two back-to-back cautions at the end and ran out of time. So unfortunate, but obviously props to him, and good race.
Yeah, great race. A lot of fun to see you and Craig battle it out in front. Corey, last time you and I were chatting, we were talking about the upcoming races in New Brunswick. Did you land that 4-cylinder ride? Are you maybe going to Miramichi or Petty next weekend?
Unfortunately, we haven't really haven't got anything lined up. Obviously, I'd love to love to run something still, but it's tough. Some people aren't even sure if they're going to make it themselves. Sponsors, all the obvious, but a major props to Miramichi, Patty, and Chediak for getting racing back going. Hopefully we get to see it broadcasted and be able to watch a little bit. I know I'm definitely missing it a lot, and it was almost made it worse to get back in the pro stock and test it out. Now you want to race it, right?
Yeah. Have you done any testing at the tracks yet? Have you been in the car yet?
Yeah, so went testing and shook down Austin's Legend cars. It would be probably 3 or 4 weeks ago, and then took my pro stock up, finally finished it, and tested it, and then went back a second time and made some first time or just shake it down, make sure there's no leaks. Luckily there wasn't. Everything went good, and then went back and tried to get some more speed out of it, which felt pretty confident in the car. Just had to get some newer tires on it, so very, very, very excited to get back on if we do and when we do.
Well, we'll be excited to see you and your new car on track, and we're going to see you tomorrow night here, right, for the 250?
We will see what happens. Trying to get everything finished up. There's a big test going on over in PEI for a lot of the King cars, and trying to get everything finished up so we can get going, and we'll try to be there, but no promises.
Hey, you know what? I think that's a fair excuse to get the real race cars ready. So thanks for racing tonight, and thanks for putting on a little show for the fans watching.
Yes, thanks to you guys for broadcasting again. It was a ton of fun. Thanks, Tim, for having the race. I haven't done a ton of races as of late, but it's good to get back into one and have a good battle with Mike. That's always the goal, is to race the best. And between me, him, and Craig, it was a good battle through the whole thing. Wish we could have run it out a little more, but props to him on the win.
We're watching the replay. Just one more question, Corey. Why did you take the 75 out on the slow lap there?
Yeah, so I completely forgot that I was running an ARC car, even though the whole race I was aware of it. And I was just going to give him a little bump, good win, whatever. And once I got up into him, I was underneath him and his back tires were off the ground. I checked up, but it just sent him around. I had a laugh about it. He seemed to laugh about it, so hopefully fine with that, but it's definitely non-intentional.
We thought you were maybe mad. I don't know, but hey, thanks for putting on a good show tonight, even at the end when you take him out by accident.
I just delete my comments, Corey. I'm sorry. I thought you said so.
Man, Mike, I can't believe you think that of me.
Sorry, it looks so good. I thought it was frustrating.
There was definitely some people that I would have liked to taken out after that race, but Mike was not one of them. Always good racing with him.
That is the last comment I would thought would come out of your mouth after that, but that's awesome.
Drivers make mistakes too.
So,
yeah, they do. Corey, good racing, and we'll see you next time. He's going to get his real race car, the King Racing stable, doing some testing we just heard. And that was kind of a funny thing, Mike and Dave. Just a little incident at the end. I've seen it at the racetrack a few times of people wrecking each other. And I'm sure Tim Terry has as well. Tim, we thought the drivers were going to start running into each other and doing bumper cars, getting mad at each other for a moment.
Yeah, end of the race. We did have one back up onto the racetrack, which was a unfortunate situation. But I wish we would have saw a green-white checker finish. Those guys up front put on a show. But I believe you guys have contact with our winner, Mike Alexander. It's the, I think, 9th win for him on one of these TCM events.
Holy moly, Mikey, you're stealing all the wins here. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I got you, bud.
You pulled the tire strategy again. You got knocked into a little earlier in the race, and that just kind of opened up the prime real estate for you to throw some fresh tires. So, how was the racing, and how are you able to hold off to all those cars with faster tire? You know what I mean? Like they were faster with the fresher tires.
Yeah, the yellows at the end helped me. Like if we had got to run it all, I don't think I would have held them guys off. They were a lot better on them tires, and they just the yellows fell right for me, and I only had to hold them off for a couple laps at a time, and I could do that.
Let's talk a little later, or pardon me, a little earlier in the race. You made a little contact with the 99 Brandon. By the end, Brandon was right behind you. You know, it was probably a racing incident with your fresh tires, but were you kind of expecting maybe a little something from the 99 at the end?
I wasn't really sure what to expect, honestly. Like when I got into him earlier, I just kind of barely get into him just to shove him up the track a bit, and I don't know. Next thing I knew, he was backwards, and I felt like I barely touched him. But anyway, no, I wasn't sure. I didn't mean to get into him, but I wasn't sure if or didn't mean to spin him anyway. I meant to get into him, but no, I wasn't really sure what was going to happen with him. You know, it's you never know when there's new faces up front. You don't really know where their heads are at, right?
Right. And by the end, we had no green white checkered, obviously. Were you worried that Corey or maybe Brandon could just get around you on a restart?
I knew if that was the time I had to protect it the most was right on the restart, and then after 5 or 6 laps, that little buffer in there was my time that I could hold them off. I tried to restart in third once, and Corey stayed on the outside. It almost bit me, but it's I was just doing my best there.
Another big iRacing win, but we were just chatting with Corey right before too about testing. Have you done any testing? I know Sydney Speedway has been the only track really offering it. Have you taken advantage of that, or are you just for the other tracks to maybe start doing that?
No, I haven't got out testing yet. To be honest, we haven't been putting a lot of work in on the car. I'm kind of skeptical that we're going to get anything in this summer, but we'll see what happens, and we'll just go from there.
Good stuff, man. Hey, nice win, and we'll see.
Thanks, Tom.
Are you racing tomorrow night?
Yeah.
All right. I think my upward inflection just didn't register there, but it's a good win. We'll see you then. All right, buddy.
All right, man. Thanks.
All right, no problem. Hey, Mike, our third place finisher, Craig McDonald's in here. If you want to grab a quick word.
Hey, Craig, you got you?
Hey, I got you, man. What's up?
Dude, what a run. You led some of the laps here tonight. There, unfortunately, at the end, you had some damage there. Did you have a hard time with that hood being crumpled up at the end?
I mean, handling wise, definitely the car got tight. As far as having fun wise, now I was staring at a polar bear drinking a Coke.
Well, at least you weren't mixing them with cornflakes. So, Craig, I know you got everybody's hoping to get back to the track. We were talking to some of the competitors earlier. Did you have any plans so far this season? You testing it?
Testing, yeah. If my home track opens up here to testing, I'll probably finish the last few odds and ends to the car, and then convince Corey to come to the track with me and try and figure out this whole new package on our race cars for the season, and just see what all we can figure out, if in case we actually get to race this year, and if not, for what we have planned for next season. Try and get all the kinks worked out of the brand new car.
Well, it's been a pleasure watching you here in the iRacing TCM special events. You've had some really good runs. I know we didn't get to broadcast Monday night's race, and you did take the win. Coming in tonight, did you have similar strategies to Monday? I know on this venue here tonight, you went down pit road twice. What was your strategy coming in after Monday night's big win?
I mean, the biggest thing I learned Monday was track position here. I mean, Monday with the cars, the bumpers kind of lined up better, so you could actually pass a bit, cleanly, whereas these cars, they didn't. Honestly, my strategy until I saw Mike come flying like a bat out of hell up to me and Corey was just to stay out and try and tough it out. But when I saw how much tires were, I was like, next caution, I'm pitting. And it almost worked. I started to run Mike up a bit, and just as I was getting close to him, the yellow came out. So at that point, my strategy was just try and survive. And as we saw by the front of my race car, that didn't exactly work to plan.
With the new damage simulator, I know it must be difficult with that hood flapping in front of you. I know we're in real life, though. You want to let our viewers at home know a bit about you, like who you'd like to thank on your cars and what series you're running in?
Well, I run in the one of the same series as my teammate Corey does. I race a Legend car on the Legend Tour here in the Maritimes, all over the provinces, and I'd like to thank obviously CHR, in real life for setting up my race car in here. He always gets me to come on at night and practice. I'd like to thank Doug Clark Auto Body in real life for making my car look good. Overall collisions, without them I wouldn't be racing. Obviously GS Racing, they're a huge help as far as just sponsor wise, and they're wicked people to have at the track, and King Racing, and I think that's about it.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure watching over the last 6-7 weeks in this Tim's series. So hopefully one day I get to call you in real life and maybe see you on the Rock here in Newfoundland at Eastbound Park. But again, congratulations on your top 3. I thought you had something for us at the beginning, but unfortunately under this green-white checkered mishap, you never had the shot at the end. So congratulations, Craig, and we look forward to seeing you hopefully tomorrow.
Thank you. And yeah, no, so as long as I manage to make it in the top 40 here in about 40 minutes, I'll be here.
Perfect. Congratulations again. Tim, what a wild night.
Yeah, it was a very exciting night at the end of that, Mike. The cream always rises to the top. That's your saying, right? Am I allowed to use?
I think it's the India bear always rises to the top now.
Oh, so have you finished all of Doug Critch's present that he sent you?
Not quite, but I've put a little tap to it. But again, big thank you to DC Auto jumping on board. Got to chat with him earlier, but it's great to see local sponsors here in Atlantic Canada jumping on some of these TCM events.
I'm gonna make Paul a little bit busy here. Obviously, want to thank DC Auto. Coming up tomorrow is the Tranquility 250. Craig kind of alluded to it. We've got another qualifying session coming up here in about 35 minutes or 40 minutes or so. 30 have qualified so far. We're going to take the top 40. The last couple of races, we've had about 45 or 46-ish try to qualify. So if we have a little more than 40, we'll take everybody into the big dance tomorrow and run them down to 22 cars and have a fun show tomorrow as much as we can. The All-Star Showcase is coming up next week. Qualifying for that is ongoing as well. We have a session tomorrow following the Tranquility 250. We also have one on Sunday following the TCM Super Speedway SummerSlam that we have going on. We're looking for a sponsor for that one as well. Everybody had said at the start we wanted to do something different. We want to do a road course race, want to do a dirt race, want to do a super speedway race. So this is the super speedway. We're gonna watch Talladega, watch the big boys do it in the afternoon, and then do some fun super speedway racing in the night. Vidane's going to be here to cover it. So if you want to hop on board to that, we've got an opening for that. And then the All-Star Showcase next week. The Open is Monday, which is essentially, if you look at the All-Star race that the NASCAR series has, they have one qualifier race per se, and this is going to be their qualifier race. Top 25 in times are going to make it in. Everybody else is going to go to the non-qualifiers race. Going to run that off 125 laps at Five Flags on Monday. And then on Thursday, we're going to run the All-Star Showcase. 22 drivers currently qualified for that. We'll take the top 3 from the All-Star Open. Plus, we'll have a fan vote winner as well, and they'll get in. Purse is just over $500 right now. $100 to the winner. We're going to pay back the top 10. If we can find a couple of more sponsors on that one, we'll pay deeper than the top 10. But Pit Road TV sponsoring the heat races as well. There's lap money involved in that too. So just over $500 in purse money for that one coming up 1 week from tonight on Thursday on Vidane TV at Five Flags. 250 laps, still lap sponsorships available on that one as well. So busy week to close off what's going to be our spring season. Oxford is not the easiest place. So pat on the back to all of these guys that put on a show tonight. The ARCA car was not the easiest to drive with the setup that was underneath it, but they did a phenomenal job handling it. Can't wait to see what they do tomorrow night. But it's been fun so far. If you're within earshot and you want to go qualify for this one tomorrow night, you have an opportunity to in about 35 minutes or so. I need one of those beers. If you want to pass me one, Mike.
Well, not tonight, buddy. You didn't throw the green-white checkers, so no beer for you. No beer for you. But,
that was my bad. There's so many different things you can set up on these iRacing servers, which is great. I'm trying to make excuses for myself, and obviously it's not working. But there's so many things you can set up on these iRacing servers, and that was one of them that apparently we missed when we transferred over practice server to a race server. So that was my bad on that. We will make sure that they are on there for the next couple of.
Nobody's perfect, especially the directors at a racetrack, even if it's virtual.
No, we figured that out at some point, didn't we?
Yeah. Just would like to have a final word with Dave. I love announcing these calls. Dave, what'd you think of it all here at Oxford? This is the first one for you.
Well, I'm a big short track fan. I'm a big asphalt fan. So I enjoyed it. It was kind of neat. I'm still trying to learn some of the names and everything, and try to kind of pick up on some of this stuff each and every time that work with you guys, and I learn a lot about some of the Canadian drivers that I've been working with here over the last few weeks, and a lot of talent out there. A lot of guys that are passionate about what they do out here on the racetrack, on the iRacing, and then listening to some of the guys that you spoke to after the race tonight. What these guys do when they're not iRacing. I mean, they're actually out there trying to kind of polish up a little bit in the real racing, and you got to wonder how much iRacing actually helps them get ready for their real race cars. So that's kind of cool to listen to some of the backstories that are going on. But all in all, I enjoy it, and as long as Paul will keep having me back, I'll continue to come out and help you guys and learn a little bit more about this, and hopefully I won't sound like I don't know anything.
Well, no doubt. It's been great to have you, Dave, and looking forward to more. But I think that's going to be it, unless Paul or Tim has some more for us. But what a beautiful night. Morning here in Oxford for the DC Auto 150. Big shout out to Doug Critch and the guys. Big thank you for the big special delivery, some pizza and beer for the James household. I know my kids thoroughly enjoyed it. So
hold on, whoa,
not the beer, not the beer.
No. I was trying to figure out if
I did not give my 2-year-old
how many
beer.
how many pizzas were there? Was there only one pizza?
One pizza.
Okay,
Listen.
so you had half of that. So
no, I didn't eat
the kid.
half.
How many kids? 5?
There's
4 slices of pizza.
Seven
So
mouths.
there's okay. So
okay.
wow,
Okay, let's not go private. That's too much private.
That's too much. It's too much math for me. I got some messages. I think we got a couple of more sponsors coming through for the All-Star Showcase, so that's great. We got to go to that. Paul, take us home, dust this off, try to figure out how we're going to eat, because apparently Mike's ate all the pizza.
He ate all the pizza. I accidentally all the wings, but
Hey.
if it makes you feel any better, I did get some hot sauce in my eye. That's why I went MIA there for a little bit.
Oh.
We're all good now, though, so great news for me anyway. Tomorrow night, Tranquility Super Late Models. Great to be visiting those again here at Oxford Speedway. Saturday night, we've got the East Coast Winter League. They're actually putting on the East Coast Classic. That's going to be the 1987 Cup cars that just came out on iRacing for North Wilkesboro, so it's going to be a fantastic race. Tim's Corner Motorsports Super Speedway SummerSlam. Really looking forward to that. I'm pretty sure I screwed the name up, because that's a lot of S's. But then Monday night, we're doing triple header here on Verdane TV. Going to be a busy night. Going to need a couple of wobbly pops for that. But we got the Tim's Corner Motorsports All-Star Open Showcase. Got the Crash Dummy Invitational guys at 9 o'clock. And before them, right in between, we've got the Florida Pro Truck Challenge Series. And then we slip on into the Pro Stock Tour race for Tim's Corner Motorsports on Tuesday. So busy schedule here coming up for Verdane TV. And we got to cram in real racing into that soon here, too. Stafford Motor Speedway here in Connecticut finally opened up the gates. Going to be doing some open practice this Saturday, and then next Friday going to be the first race of the season. So very excited to be heading to the racetrack after work on a Friday afternoon, even though the summer officially is just getting started, but June is half over. But going to be good to see a lot of old friends, make some new ones, and listen to those motors roar all over Stafford Motor Speedway. But for everybody here at Verdane TV, everybody here at Tim's Corner Motorsports, want to thank you for coming out. Hope this broadcast made it to you in good health, and, if it didn't, we hope you feel better real soon. Thanks so much for coming